time on KSR. We appreciate you taking the time.
Glad to be here, fellas. Appreciate you guys having me, and good day for all of it. So appreciate you being here. It's a beautiful day. My goodness.
Beautiful day, and I liked you getting to meet some fans that stopped by on short notice. We only gave them 30 minutes notice, but that's BBN. They get here in 30 minutes.
Well, I tell you what, I got to experience a little bit last night. Now, we were talking about it off air, but it's incredible, BBN showing up in July for basketball. 3,500 people, loud, intense. La Familia gets a W, big one on Sunday, but that just speaks to the power of and the importance of BBN. It's awesome.
So you decide to come here. I interviewed you the day it got announced, and you talked about what made you see the job as attractive.
Yeah.
Okay, now you've been here a little bit. I know you just started, but you kind of see the Kentucky fan base. Just in those last few weeks, your preconception of what it would be to now, what's happened?
I think it's a promised given, promised answered kind of thing, in that I think everything I expected Big Blue Nation to be, and again, listen, I got all of 48 hours here, so we'll say that I'm early and often, but just whether it's externally, I walked into my office, I had a whole stack of mail of welcome, hope you do great, glad you're a part of it pieces. So I would say I expected it to be passionate. Expected it to be, kind of give your all for Kentucky. And that is what I have experienced early. I mean, last night, first event I've been to on campus.
So your very first event was TBT.
It was.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's great. Welcome to the
show. It was. So, yeah, no, it's great. But even, I tell you what, whether it's BBN, our student athletes, like I was walking around the building last night, whether it's meeting some of the football guys, basketball guys, women's basketball, volleyball over in Kraft Center, like we've got great kids too. And so to answer your question directly, BBN's been exactly what I had hoped and what it's been billed to be so far.
Now, you have a lot of stuff to do today, so I kind of want to ask you some very specific questions that I know fans kind of want to know the answer. Let's start with football since we're here.
Okay.
The question I get from fans the most in the new era is, do you think the revenue exists and the structure exists to make Kentucky not just a competitive football program, but a top-level one? It's changed in the last couple of years. I kind of think it makes it easier for schools like Kentucky in some ways. Do you think this is a place that can do it?
Yes, I think so, for sure. I think I'm going to answer that emphatically, yes. And frankly, I wouldn't be here. Neither would Will Stein if that wasn't the answer. I think it's a couple of things, right? We have a tradition. We have championship excellence in this athletic department broadly. That's the base on which all of this is built. I think part of it is we have already done some of the hard work to build structure, right? We talk about Champions Blue. We can talk more about that, about the nimbleness that creates. This is constantly changing, right? We're dealing with everything from legislative things to rulemaking that's happening on the fly to NCAA's continuing to evolve in its approach, right? We just 5 for 5 just popped, came out here shortly. All of those changes, the structure is right. The tradition is right. The tradition of excellence is right. Yeah, we're going to have to lean in now. And again, I think part of when we were together, I made the point to say, and I mean it, Big Blue Nation is the most important thing we have here. It is the most important part of what we will do to be successful in the future. And so part of it is, it's our job to build structure, to go and find and do. But at the end of the day, it's a partnership. And so I think the answer to your question is absolutely, positively yes. We're going to have to continue to evolve. So you could see a world that they host a playoff game in this stadium. I'd love that. We took a walk today and we were talking about it. I went to my first big facilities walk this morning, 6 a.m. We had a great crew that was walking with me. We walked the stadium. And it wasn't just where's SEC Nation going to set up, is where's College Game Day going to set up?
Nice. I like that. It's happened once.
Let's make that happen again, because what that says is we're in this thing and we're doing it. And that at the end of the day, we're thinking there, right? And so I think to your point, yes, it is.
I want to come back to football. But I want to make sure I get some other stuff. Basketball. Mark Story had a story yesterday that said, just historically, this has been the toughest decade for UK basketball since its beginning. Do you think in terms of basketball, what have you seen from afar or that needs to happen to get Kentucky to where it has been historically?
I think part of it is we talk about the same things, right? History, tremendous. standard of excellence, tremendous. Big Blue Nation behind basketball, tremendous. And I think Mark's got a great team on the floor. I've been to a few practices. We'll say that, I like the fact that he's evaluating talent every day, not me. But I think we're in a great spot to have that success. And listen, I think Mark I'd be on with you guys where he said he understands the mission. He's not going to shy away from the fact that the standard is the standard for Kentucky basketball. And Mark knows that. And I also have that same standard, right? Like, we need to be there.
The structure of both football has a GM.
Yep.
Basketball does not. Do you think it should?
I'll tell you this. It's high on my list to dig into our player management strategy broadly. And so, I think part of what you look at is we've made this evolution in college sports from where that was never a part of the equation at all to today where we'll call it broadly player management's super important. There is delta to be had there. There is margin of excellence to be had by investing in that space. And so, listen, I'm going to get with Mark. I've got with Will. I've got with Kenny. And, listen, there is NIL and revenue share across a bunch of different sports. And so adding capability, expertise, value around player management at the department level is important.
I'm sure you looked from afar and deciding whether to take this job. And one of the things you look at is, okay, what can I be of help for? You told me when we first talked, you have a lot of comfort and experience generating revenue, et cetera. So let's put that piece to the side because you've talked a lot about that. What are 2 or 3 other things you looked at and said, that's something that needs to happen there that I think I can help happen?
I think part of it is, one, listen, you look for spots where you can, hopefully help and have an impact. I think part of it is my number one job today, yesterday, and in the very near future is I got to go listen and learn, right? And so whether that's meeting with every one of our head coaches, meeting with our staff, like this is Kentucky, we got great staff. And so absolutely there are places where I'm going to dig in and get deep, but at the same point in time, you've only got so many hours in the day, and so we'll have to pick those as we go, Matt. But there are definitely places, whether it's game experience. I've been to a lot of different venues across a couple of different leagues. I think we can new different ideas, certainly look at some of those things. But, listen, this is not a broken place. This is a great place, and I hope I can add to that, but this is a good spot.
I was looking, the baseball team has a top 10 recruiting class. The volleyball team is obviously the favorite in the SEC. The women's basketball team is going to be really good. There's been a concern, I know, from people in sort of the secondary sports. Schools to some extent almost have to choose. Do you agree with that statement, or do you think you can be excellent at all of these? And do you think you're going to be able to keep all the sports in the modern era?
Keep all the sports for sure.
Okay.
That would be, I've got history of when I was at the University of Maryland, we cut 7 sports. Worst day I've ever had in college athletics. I will do everything I possibly can and don't see a world in which that changes. I think, part of the answer to that question is part of what makes Kentucky special is we have had that broad-based success. We have built that championship standard of excellence more broadly than maybe in previous, let's say, decades before it exists. My goal would be to keep that. And so part of that, Matt, would be, but in order to do that, we have to be hyper-focused on driving ROI back to the department. Not just the sake of, we talked about, hey, I like, some things I've done in the past to drive revenue. That will be a focus of mine, certainly. But not simply just to drive revenue. You're going to, work with our tools, right? This big stadium we're sitting in, you can drive revenue here. Rupp, Memorial, there's the ability to drive revenue, but not just to do it, but to do it to spread and build. I think, you talked about, I was with Minge this morning. Listen, like top 10 in the country, 8th in the SEC, it's a tough neighborhood. But doggone it, like we can continue to have success in places like that. Volleyball was with Craig this morning as well. Like what an incredible program he's built. Now it's going to continue to take more as what that takes evolves. But we're in a really good spot for it. So, yes, we can do it, and we plan on it. We'll have to keep pushing it. BBN's going to have to step in there with us, which I know they will, but it's very doable.
You walked in here, and the first thing you did was shake the hands of the fans. Not your staff members, not us. You shook the hands of the fans. How do you generally monitor the pulse of the fan base? when you're the athletic director?
Good question.
That's a great question.
Nice job. I mean, that's very. Who knew?
I slept at a Holiday Inn Express.
I knew he was going to say that.
You got to listen. You got to listen, and part of that is it will not be the only time that I shake the hands of the fans. Whether it's inbound contact from emails or whatever. Listen, I value very much what the fans have to say, and so people will have very candid conversations with me, or they'll provide feedback. That's okay. I'd like that. That's how we get better. But it'll be one-on-one. I'll listen when folks are saying, part of that is we're really fortunate. BBM will tell us what they're feeling.
Yeah, they will.
I do think in the past generations, and this, I'm not, no dispersions to people, but a lot of people in BBM didn't feel like their voices could be heard. How do you think you can make it to where they don't feel that detachment? Because I know a lot of our listeners over the years, that was their biggest complaint to me. I don't feel like my voice is heard.
Well, listen, I think part of that is, there's millions and millions and millions of voices. So every single one we're not going to, be able to immediately and irrevocably address. But I think, listen, this opportunity for us to be together and you to communicate some of that even on behalf of, I'm here to listen and to learn, and listen, we'll make best efforts. We might not hit a home run every time, but we're going to be up here and we'll get to the plate.
Before you're even a candidate here, or even in being an athletic director, maybe growing up, what was your perception of UK athletics, or maybe a memory of watching Kentucky? I know you're from Virginia nearby. Went to UNC. Did you have any early thoughts of UK, even though you weren't a part of it?
I think what you think of when you think of UK is. I'll say this one. I was in Nashville for a SEC tournament, and was with a different team, lost early, and all of a sudden, out of everywhere, Big Blue Nation just showed up and took over the entire town. That's what I know of Big. It is the incredible passion in the fan base, and that permeates all of college sports. That's known across college sports. So growing up in a college town, in an ACC town like Kentucky basketball, and the fan base that goes with it, the football, all of our, it is known.
Since you've been facing me, just look at what's shown up since you got
an audience.
So now you got now you've had a lot of people come. All right, I got some questions from the audience that people have asked. One person says, I would like to ask Jay Batt, when it comes to negotiating contracts, we've had some issues over the years where long-term contracts have made it feel like we were trapped in situations. What is his philosophy on contracts for coaches and whether to have them long with big buyouts?
Well, that's an interesting one. I think I've had certainly a lot of experience across a lot of years with coaches' contracts, and those coaches' contracts that work well are ones where you are mutually incented for success. And so finding a way within those contracts to incent success, provide that you do have some backside protection. That's important. Being smart, kind of what I talked about earlier in the player management side, you've got to be smart about it. And you've also got to have relationships in the business where you're able to deliver on that.
Just have a few minutes. Got a bunch of questions about scheduling. So let me do both sports. Basketball fans, I hear two complaints on scheduling. One is, can we play in a cool tournament? We don't ever get to play in these cool tournaments. Now, there's one starting, I believe, you may that we start in next year. Home RUP games, non-conference. A lot of people say, can we get that schedule better? Thoughts on that?
I'll just tell you that, so we're really fortunate that this is a national brand and that we participate in some, one-off games, right? We're playing UNC in New York or we're in Champions. That is a say in some ways, that's a privilege would be a way. That really helps us nationally from our brand perspective. So we're going to have to figure out how to continue to maintain that. But big picture, what you'll hear from me is I want our best content in front of our fans in our venues. And part of what we're going to do, listen, we're in the football stadium. We spent a lot of dollars in here to renovate suites, which you've seen. We've got plans on the deck that I'm going to look at here shortly around adding some additional spaces in the stadium go forward. Part of that is if we're going to ask people to step forward, take on new premium seats, give generously, etc., they want great content in the building. And so that'll be something we'll work on. Now, we can't walk away from really unique, incredible opportunities that drive our brand nationally. I mean, Kentucky, as you guys know, we are known nationally for who we are and what we do.
Well, you were at Michigan State. They do the Champions Classic
Right.
with us every year. That's obviously good. I think some people go, look, our only good home game is Louisville this year. Is there not a way to do that?
I think that's something we'll look at. And again, I'll give you without answering hey, we're going to do X, Y, and Z today or tomorrow. Philosophically, I'd like us to have our best content or some of our best content in front of our home fans. Again, we're going to ask BBN to step up and do more. We got to continue to deliver value for them in our buildings.
Football, SEC goes to 9 games.
Right.
You got the Louisville series.
Yep.
Let's start with that. Are we going to keep the Louisville series no matter where this goes?
I've had no conversations where that wouldn't be the direction.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you see a world in which what happens beyond that? Do you think the world stays where the other 2 games are kind of less marquee, but, and I understand why people play those games, or do you think there's a world, I've heard some people in the SEC say, I think we should play all good, 12-12. What do you think?
I think, listen, the SEC is the best football league in the country. I think we'll make some of that will happen as we go forward to figure out what is that level, right? And part of that is at the end of the day, we will get to that decision making as we go. First 48 hours, I'll say we're not to that point, but I think part of what makes the SEC so great is that 1 to 16 is so quality, and so as you know, we're moving to the 9 games. We'll continue that will create a certain let's say evolution that will continue to, and I think it's a positive. Having really great games, certainly those in this league, and having more of them is a positive.
They're telling me you have like 2 minutes. So
Okay.
I have 2 quick questions.
All right.
One, I know it's been 48 hours, but it's right now on it. The bill before Congress.
Yep.
Are you for it? Against it? Do you not know yet? I mean, what do you think?
What I would tell you is I think, one, I very much appreciate the fact that we have such national attention on an evolving college athletics landscape. That's really important. I think we as a college athletics enterprise, our elected leaders have worked really, really hard to get us to this point where we've got something that's in process. Now, what I would tell you, Matt, is it continues to evolve. And so we can't tell you, I'm not going to give you a 1 or a 0 here that we're supportive or not. But what I think is we've got great leadership with the league. Commissioner Sankey's working his tail off to make sure to put us in a position to have that discussion. And I think, we'll see where we go.
Last question. I want to give you like a minute without answering my question, just to address that. There's a lot of people who are hearing your voice for the first time, to address the BBN before you go.
Gosh, that's an incredible opportunity, and thank you for that. What I would just say is, first and foremost, really humbled and blessed to be a part of it. Our family is excited to be here. I'm ecstatic to be here and to be a part of this athletics family. So that's first and foremost. I think secondly, I think everybody should hear that we're in a really good place. You asked a question at the beginning. The answer is emphatically yes. We are built for the fact that college athletics is changing and is going to continue to change, right? I think some of the questions we talked to today, we asked about, we're dealing with one set of facts that a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now will be very different. Part of what I think is so important is that we are prepared for that. We've done a lot of the hard work. The third part of that is it's where you and I ended last time. I want everybody in Big Blue Nation to know emphatically, directly from me, that whether they come and they buy one ticket to one game a year, whether they never make it to Rupp or Kroger or Memorial, they matter. Because when I said earlier that the Big Blue Nation is our Delta, that might be that we have folks that step up and give dollars or buy new premium seats or buy new season tickets or add one more season ticket. But doing a little bit more for Kentucky athletics, that's all that matters. And Big Blue Nation, as we go, listen, I look forward to spending more time with you guys and helping define, hey, what does that mean? How can I help? If I'm here, how do I get that one more notch up? Big Blue Nation is the Delta. And so I just want everybody in Big Blue Nation to hear from me directly. They matter the most. This place is special because of them and because of the people, and we're really lucky to be here.
Thank you very much for doing it, Jay Batt. We appreciate it. Good luck.